Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about linear bearings. So last time we just talked about rotary bearings, which is for rotation. Linear bearings, as the name suggests, is for linear motion. So any sort of linear actuators would use this. And just like the rotary bearings, how we have the mounted configurations, that's in a housing, or sometimes you'll see the term housing or bearing and housing. So this is they already take care of all the bearing placement inside the body, and then you just need to worry about how to mount the housing onto your structure. So the ones with housings, there's typically a flange type mount here. So you would mount it to the face of something, or you have something that you mount to the side of it. So basically a side mount or face mount. The main difference being one is the screws is along the axis of motion, and then the other one is perpendicular. And then you also get down to the ones that don't have housing, so it would look something like this. So these you have different ratings. You have some that have lubrication, some that is dust resistant, some that's high temperature rating, some that has a combination of linear and rotary. You have high load, ultra thin ones, high speed, electrical insulating, and you also have like high low linear ball bearings for support rail shafts. So there's a lot of different types, and it's just gonna come down to your design calculations to see what kind you need. They also have some that's like two balls bearings stacked up. So if you need more support, this will give you more support. And then you also have guide rail types. So this is it'll show up when you look up linear bearings, but these typically have a very specific guide rail profiles, as you can see here. So the carriage that slides back and forth, um, you can also kind of consider that as a linear bearing. So you can see there's a lot of variations, and then pretty much with this you could create your own slide, and then this usually the part that has the bearing won't be the part that's actually actuating. It's just the part that follows or supports the rest of the structure. So the part that actually actuates will be the lead screw, which we'll talk about in another video. But here, let's just focus on how to handle these bearings. So let's take a look at um, bearing for quarter-inch shaft. So you can see that these usually they'll have like retaining rings. So this could help you hold the block onto something. But let's take a look at one of the drawings here. So you can see they'll come with retaining rings like this. So it's good for containing this into your structure. And usually the length of this is just they'll kind of calculate what's the most appropriate length for you. So you don't have to worry about the length unless you have specific calculations. But if your structure is very big, sometimes you may have like two bearings that's like separated some distance apart. So that may be good to balance out your load distribution. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and download this to our linear bearings. Open this part up. Let's see. Let's move this over. Okay. So you can see this is a linear ball bearing, and a lot of them will have 4 points of contact like this. And then these balls will be rotating and circulating inside as you move it. So because this is an assembly, it may be a little bit hard to see. But like if I cut in here, you could kind of see a little bit. But the idea is these balls will rotate inside, and it'll allow easy motion back and forth. So if we look back at this drawing, you could see that typically the hole in here it's slightly undersized. You can see it's 0.25 plus 0 minus 0.000305. So when you fit in your shafts, it's going to typically be little bits of close fit. So if we look up, actually, let me make another tab. And if we look up a linear shafts and we go with, gonna do a 1/4 inch. So let's just take a look at one of them. Okay, so if we look at the shaft here, we can see that these shafts are gonna be slightly undersized, right? So when it goes in, we know that there won't be any interference. Okay, so this is a 3-inch one. I'm gonna download this. And then let's check it out. Okay, so if we put this in assembly, it's gonna look something like this. We have our shaft and our linear bearing, and then this would go inside like so. So your shaft could be fixed, and then your bearing would slide back and forth. So let me actually reverse this and I'm gonna fix the shaft. So this will slide back and forth like this, and then the balls inside would allow it to hold properly. So sometimes you could have like a block that's attached to this. So you may use a retaining ring, or you could use like a clamp style method. So I could make a part. Actually, before I make the part, let's see what diameter this is. This is 0.5. So if we look at the drawing, we could see if it specifies anything. We can see the outer diameter 0.5 is slightly oversized. So when we design this, we could take into account of how that fit should be. So you would probably make it slightly bigger and maybe a slip fit. So we could make a part, do a sketch in the front, and we can make a rectangle. So we could make this maybe 2 inches and then 1 inch. And let's just make this 0.75. And if I go here and normal, one way to do this is, so this was 0.5, right? So we could have a slip fit, maybe 0.501. And I'm just gonna place it some distance away. Okay, so perhaps I will add a slot here. You could do something like a center rectangle. And the slot doesn't have to be very big. We can make this 0.1. It could be smaller probably, but for the sake of demonstrating, we won't worry too much about it. And we might want to specify some distance away. We'll call 0.5. And we'll cut through this. Okay, so it might look something like this. So that's one way of containing the bearing. You could make this into a clamp. So you could, right here, you could create something that's has a hole on one side, and then the other side could be threaded. So perhaps we'll go with like a number 6. We could do, let's see. Let's see. So we'll reset it, and then we'll just do a screw clearance of number 6, place it on here. But we want to see if it interferes. So we could go ahead and do a center line and then do that because we want to make sure it's right in the middle. And we could say up to next is fine. So that's one side is the screw clearance. And then we could do hole wizard again on this face. But here we want to use a tap number 6 on that face. So we can make it concentric. Now if I go back to the solid, it'll look something like this. So we could put a number 6 screw down here and then create a clamp that can hold on to the linear bearing. So we go back to our linear bearing. We'll call this a linear bearing block. So I could put this in our assembly. Insert component, and then we have our linear bearing block. So I could mate this to that, and then maybe this face to this face. So instead of using a retaining ring, I could make this a slight clamp, and then this block could move with the rest of it. Okay, so that's how you would handle assembling a linear bearing and putting it inside your assembly. So this block might be actuated by a lead screw, so that's something we could talk about in another video. Okay, so if you found this video helpful, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.